How does participating with Healora affect a doctor's billing practice?
Healora lets physicians make a soft transition to a cash practice. Right now, if a physician wanted to advertise their cash rates, they couldn't do it because they'd be violating all of their current payer contracts. Healora lets that physician make a transition to cash without violating those other contracts.
Most companies find resistance from the physician. How's the reception to Healora?
For most platforms, they charge subscription fees to either the patient or the physician, or many times both. With Healora, there's never a charge to the physician, ever. The physician is paid immediately with Healora at the time of service, as opposed to the standard payer contracts, which take 60, 90 days if you're lucky. And in the meantime, remember, on the list of all the items, most of the time the payers are trying to find items that they're saying, well, wait, this code isn't right, it needs to be that code, or this item was unnecessary or superfluous. So they avoid that entire battle and administrative hassle of trying to get paid, because they're paid at the time of service.
How are you managing the risk associated with A, patient safety, B, quality of care, and C, company reputation?
This is a great question, because doctors want to make sure that patients will be able to take care of themselves. Typically, after a procedure, there's a protocol so that the patients, when they go back home, they are on the lookout for certain issues that might pop up that can create problems. Here, the doctors want to be sure that a patient who comes in and is getting a cash price has the money to be able to go to an urgent care or to follow up with something in case there's a problem, to prevent a small problem like a low-grade infection or some inflammatory response from turning into being a big problem. So one of the things that we're doing is, most of our doctors, if the patient has driven there and so they're a couple hours away, they like to have the patient stay for 72 hours, because within that 72 hours, most of the complications will arise or show themselves. However, in the case where a complication pops up after 72 hours and the patient is already back home, then we're looking at providing a complications insurance so that the patient feels comfortable knowing when they call and they say, hey, I have this low-grade fever, you told me to call, and when the nurse or the doctor says, okay, no problem, please go to the urgent care, get that checked, they know that they can go to the urgent care and they're not going to worry about the financial issue, because that's going to be covered.
What are the main benefits to the physician?
The first benefit, and most important benefit, is the reduced paperwork and administrative burden. Just by taking these payer contracts, generally the insurance contracts, the forms and the process required to go from the service to collecting on those services is a huge problem. And in fact, as all of you out there who are doctors know, that for every 1 hour you spend with patient time, you're spending 2 hours of administrative time and follow-up. So the biggest advantage here of this direct pay system is that all of that is removed and eliminated. And that's important for the physician because they're able to spend more time with the patient, and it's important for the patient because the patient is getting a better quality time with that doctor. So it's huge. The second benefit, which is part of that, again, is that the physician is paid at the time of service. There are no cash flow issues. There are no concerns about chasing down what they're going to be paid. They don't have to bill certain things extra knowing that they're only going to collect 70% of that, either whether it's from the patient or from the insurance payers. Here, the doctor knows with certainty what they're going to be paid on a procedure. So it lets them give a good, fair price up front, knowing that patient is going to pay them at that time for that service.
What are the biggest challenges for your company?
One of the biggest challenges is for Healora to build and identify the infrastructure needed for repeatable customer flows. And for example, if you look at one of the largest potential customer flows, it's going to come from employers, self-funded employers. And these employers, 90% of all employers that have over 500 employees are some form self-funded. So they're paying all of the bills. The infrastructure required to service that group, which is the largest group, means that Healora needs to be involved with the third-party administrators, the benefit consultants who write the plan. These are the supporting groups that are looking for Healora, which is a specialty provider network, to be able to plug into their systems to support those self-funded employers. And so that's an example of one of the repeatable flows that we need to do.
What are some of your other areas for repeatable customer flows?
Another area, which is probably one of the most direct and most simple areas, are the traditional cash areas. So these come from different communities. A lot of the immigrant communities who are not as well integrated. Maybe a lot of them are contractors or working on a cash basis. So they're very used to paying cash for their services. And these are not, the elective services. These are the non-elective services that they need. When they have gallbladder issues, or they need an endoscopic procedure, or they've got orthopedic issues where arthroscopies, or even things like total knee replacements. They will go out and find the $40,000-$50,000 through friends and family to pay those cash prices. The great thing is with Healora, a knee replacement, instead of it being $55,000 or $50,000, it's under 20, more like 17. So those are kind of direct, repeatable customers that, again, you need to build an infrastructure that supports that type of customer flow. Another large one, which I'll mention, is the HMO high deductible clients. So there is a very large percentage of customers out there doing that, and that is probably around 20 to 25% of the market, where somebody has chosen a high deductible health plan, and in effect their deductibles and copays are so high that they simply can't afford to use their insurance and go take care of the problem they know they need to get fixed. In fact, right now, 1 in 3 people out there in society today have a procedure they need to get done, and they simply can't afford to do it.
What happens in the event of an emergency scenario, either during a procedure or post-treatment?
If an emergency arises during a procedure, the protocols that will follow are the ones that are currently in place, whether it's at an ambulatory surgical center or a hospital facility. Either one, whether you have insurance or you don't have insurance, the procedures and protocols will be the same. If there's an emergency that happens after the procedure where there are some follow-up complications, again, the protocols and procedures will be the same. What we need to do is make sure that if the patient is a cash-based patient, that the patient has the ability or those reserve funds to be able to take care of that complication. And so I mentioned in an earlier question, one of the things that we're going to provide on an event basis is going to be a complications insurance or coverage. And so we're looking at that right now.
Like the big insurance networks, you rely on state and federal regulators. How are you connecting patients to other resources to help their due diligence?
What we'll likely do is put some easy links for the patient or customer to be able to do what they would normally do, which is look at health grades, look on Yelp, different things that they might do to look up a doctor the way they would, if they were using an insurance contract. So we want to make those things easy for them to do. I don't think that Healora wants to be in a position to make subjective decisions or judgments on doctor quality. One of the things that we're going to put in place as we move forward is we want to gather real data. We want to know, well, how many times did a doctor have to redo that knee arthroscopy? Or what kind of infection rates did this doctor have versus another doctor? So these are things that we want to put hard data to, and then as we gather that, which it's going to take us a year or two depending on how many transactions we have and the level we receive. But at that point, we'll have real data. We'll have valuable data. We'll be able to say to the patient, hey, look, here's the data from real events for this particular doctor. And most doctors love that. I mean, most doctors that we know, they're very proud of what they do and how they do it. They work hard to try to mitigate these kinds of issues and concerns. And so they want to be known for what they've done to limit those infection rates or to reduce the redos on that procedure. And so we will have that data, and that'll be great for Healora, it'll be great for the patient, it'll be great for the doctor, because right now doctors are competing on a brand which can be stars or smiley faces on Yelp or different places, and they want hard data. They want to be able to say, look, here's what I really do. Look at my numbers. They want to be able to talk about that. So not only will we be able to provide that, that's another revenue source for Healora.
Don't you worry that selection on price alone will undermine the efforts for the greatest quality in the healthcare system?
That's a great question, because most people are concerned more about access than about price. Remember, no matter what kind of insurance you have, you're probably in a network. And whether that network is limiting in a very narrow way or even has a little broader choice, it's not unlimited. And that's the difference with Healora. Healora is unlimited. In other words, even if that doctor is not on our list, just call us up and let us know, hey, I want to go see Dr. Smith. He did a phenomenal job on my brother, my cousin, my coworker. Just let us know, because we'll give Dr. Smith a call and we'll let him know that, hey, Healora's here, and our patients are cash paying, they pay a fair and reasonable price, and they pay on the day of service. Doctors love us, so there's no friction there. So this is actually a great question, because no, I'm not worried about that. I think, in fact, this openness and this transparency is going to create even more consciousness and awareness and information about quality that will be shared and give everyone more choice.
What are some of the specific things you're going to do with the funds from this raise?
Oh, I love this question, because it allows us to be able to tell you where we are and what we've done. And to answer your question quickly, all of the funds from this raise are going to be focused on marketing. And marketing in the sense of building out our sales teams, the administrative support for those teams as we gather more customers and physicians. And remember, at this point, we've already done the really hard work. We've built the website. We've developed all of the infrastructure with that regard. We have AI in our emails and our chat. We've looked at ways to technologically help the physicians in terms of our doctor portal. So all of that work and that development and money has been spent. What we want to do now is we want to go out and focus on the infrastructure for, as I said earlier, kind of building those repeatable customer flows. So that's where all this money is going to be spent, and we're looking forward to this next leg. We want you to join us. We want you to help and be a part of this, and even whether you're participating as an investor, which we certainly hope you do, we also want you to participate as a physician. We want to get the awareness and the word out. We want to let everyone know that Healora is here and we are able to help more people have more access to high quality direct pay physicians. If you have any questions or you'd like to spend some time with me and ask me some questions that I didn't answer, let's set it up. Give me a call, let's connect on LinkedIn, send me a note or a message, and we'll set up a conference call and hopefully I can answer some more questions.